Hi, my name is Steve Sapienza, and I'm standing in my kitchen in order to introduce the reporting project that Jason Motlagh and I did for the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting's Global Goods Local Costs Gateway. This is a 2-pound bag of frozen raw shrimp. It says right on the label, product of Thailand. If you look closer, you can't really tell exactly where in Thailand this bag of shrimp came from, or even which company produced it. Now, that was the focus of our reporting, was to go to Thailand and to explore and look and try to find out where exactly some of this shrimp is being produced. Now, during our visit, what we found was that there are many very large seafood processing factories, and these factories have big signs, and you can walk up to them and you can go inside them and get a tour. And for the most part, these factories are very well run. They're very clean, hygienic spaces, well lit. You'll find that the workers in these big factories are paid minimum wage, and generally, these factories are above the board. But what we were able to uncover was that there's a network of smaller peeling sheds that peel and devein the shrimp and supply these larger factories. And these peeling sheds remain off the grid. And the problem with this is that the Thai shrimp industry relies on a lot of migrant labor. And this labor comes from nearby Myanmar or Burma. And these are people who are looking for a better life, looking for better wages than they can find in their own country. And they'll often pay a labor broker, or they will come across the border on their own as undocumented workers. And they'll find their way into this Thai shrimp seafood industry. And because they're coming in, many of them as undocumented workers, or through these labor brokers who may be kind of shifty, and this opens them up to exploitation. So the focus of the stories that we did for the Washington Post and also for the PBS NewsHour really looked at this underground network and what was happening to these workers when they come across the border. And what we found was that there are a lot of problems. There are, in some cases, underage workers in these peeling sheds. There are certainly workers who are not being paid the minimum wage. In fact, there are many workers who have paid to come over and work in these factories, only to find out that once they get there, they're being charged for their room and board, they're being charged for any supplies they might use, phone calls they may make, and they end up in a situation that's known as debt bondage. So many of them, while they might sign a contract to go work for, let's say, 2 months, for example, might find themselves there for 2, 3, 6, 8 months because they've incurred debt since arriving at the workplace. And so they're stuck in this cycle where they have to work to pay down their debt. And we found instances of this. We ended up talking with workers who had escaped or been sprung from some of these miserable conditions, and they told us all kinds of stories about beatings, about being threatened with guns and being threatened with rape if they did not go back to peeling shrimp. And I guess what was difficult about reporting this story is, you can imagine looking into this layer of off-the-grid factories. These are not, the people who run these factories are not people who want a lot of sunlight and a lot of visitors coming to their factories. So we had to find ways to get into the factories or get near them to find out what was going on. The easiest way for us to find out what was going on was actually to talk to former workers. We did manage to obtain a videotape that was shot by a worker inside one of these factories that showed some of the undocumented workers and actually showed some underage workers. And all of this we used in our report to show that there were significant problems in the Thai frozen seafood industry. What surprised us was about this project was probably just how difficult it was to do this story. Not a lot of people wanted to talk to us. A lot of people, after they'd given us interviews, were scared about us using their image or using their information. They thought there might be some backlash from some of the local peeling shed owners, or perhaps even some of the police who they said were involved in this human trafficking and exploitation of the migrant workers. And thinking of some of the unanswered questions related to this story, I think probably the biggest one is just how in this day and age with GPS mapping and technology to track locations and put them on a map, how do these places stay off the grid? It seems that if the Thai government and also the Thai Frozen Food Association wanted to pinpoint all the businesses where they're receiving supplies of frozen peeled and deveined shrimp, that this could easily be done with GPS, and that in fact all of these factories could be very easily pinpointed and also inspected to make sure that there were no labor abuses or any problems going on. But this is not happening, and I think that's probably one of the big unanswered questions. Another unanswered question is just, why is it still so easy for migrant workers to use these labor brokers to come across and go into Thailand to get jobs and then end up in situations where they're exploited? The governments of Thailand and Burma have worked together to try to improve the visa process, but it doesn't seem to have completely eliminated the prospect of human trafficking and exploitation once the workers arrive in Thailand and start doing the work. And I think finally I'd just like to say it seems like that both the industry, the government, and consumers here in the U.S. And the migrant workers who do the work of peeling and deveining the shrimp would all benefit if the industry and the government were able to get greater transparency on these smaller peeling sheds, and in fact throughout the entire industry, to give people some sort of confidence that the shrimp that they're buying at restaurants and consuming in their homes is free from labor exploitation.